What is up, ladies and gentlemen? And today I want to talk about what's been going on in the realm of my YouTube channel, and it's been really going pretty well. I'm very happy about what has been going on lately with the resurgence of the Legacy of Kain series coming back as remastered format for Soul Reaver 1 and for Soul Reaver 2. But more importantly, okay, is that I'm very happy for how far I've grown. And what really has been really happening to me, though, too, is that it's not because of the fact that I'm at 468 subs. It's the fact that it's awesome that I'm getting some really cool feedback on my videos for this series as a whole, and basically just doing as much as I can to just really build a really good positive community. And what I will say is that one thing for sure is that there have been some negative feedback and comments and toxicity, of course, especially when it came to a lot of things, specifically when it came to the previous video that we've had for Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and Remastered, the video that just came out before the newest one that just came out yesterday for the boss reveal. And I actually ended up making an artistic deep dive on the newest trailer yesterday, and it actually went pretty well, which I was really happy about. But more appropriately, what I really enjoyed about the newest trailer than from what the original one was before it, it's gotten so much better in terms of its tonality and its artistic direction. And why they decided to do this is because one factor really is in fact that they finally listened to the community. They listened to the fan base feedback, which is important. I really think that developers should really listen to some feedback when it comes to the community and the core fan base of the series or any kind of game series in particularly in all game fronts. I think that's the most important thing. Okay. Now, I want to put this out there here though too, and the reason for this video is my experience with this Legacy of Kain series goes back to Blood and Legacy of Kain. And yes, this was my very first game in the series that I played after I played Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver for the Sega Dreamcast. Soul Reaver was, in fact, my very first Legacy of Kain game in the franchise because I was kind of late to the whole entire series as a whole when the game came out for the Dreamcast back in, I believe it was 2000, I think? No, 1999. And so when I got into that game, I was so enthralled. I was captivated by it. And it was very interesting of where the series is going to go because, like I said before, Soul Reaver was my very first game in the series. And it was so good because of everything what I just previously explained. So again, then when I finally got my PlayStation 2, it was backwards compatible with PS1 games, obviously. And what was so great about it, I went into a local EB Games before they became GameStop back in the day when I used to work at a health club, which was okay. But point being is they were able to finally find a copy of Blood and Legacy of Kain from another store. But long story short, there was a person that actually had the game on back order or pre-order or something like that. But the person never came, so they shipped it to the EB Games to where I live in Minnesota, where the EB Games was known as GameStop now. And so they called me back and say, "Hey," or actually they didn't call me back. I actually went in the next day after work, and they said, "Hey, we have Blood and Legacy of Kain for you." I'm like, "Sweet!" I was so excited. And then when I got home and put it on my PlayStation 2 for the very first time and started playing it, I'm just like, what kind of a game is this? I did not know what I was expecting. And the experience with the game was very, very chilling. It was interesting. It was not just captivating and enthralling. I was engrossed by it. And I think what it was the fact that it was based on a world of decay known as the world of Nosgoth and the Pillars of Nine and the corruption of the Pillars, ventured on to further spin offs and sequels. And that's how I got into the Legacy of Kain, more so into the series. Now, I think when it came to with my full experience with the whole entire series, after playing Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver on Dreamcast, after I played Blood Moon and Legacy of Kain on the backwards compatibility on PS2 for PS1 games, I'm like, you know what? I want to know more about this world. I want to know more about what this whole entire series is going to represent me as a gamer. So basically, what I'm saying is that when I played Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1, especially on the Dreamcast, as I previously stated, this is the reason why I got into gaming in the first place. And it was the reason why I hunted down to get a copy of Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, is because I knew that existed. I mean, because of the fact that I actually had someone that, not recently, but many years ago, that found the strategy guide for Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, and he told me this is about vampires and as such. I'm like, and I said, this is exactly what I was looking for. I was literally looking for this guy for such a long time, which was really nice of that person. And so that's where another reason why I got into this series as a whole as well. And then when Soul Reaver 2 got announced for the Sega Dreamcast, I was just like, oh my god, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it when it finally came out back in 2001, I believe, for the PlayStation 2, because initially it got canceled for the Sega Dreamcast because the Sega Dreamcast was not going to be able to utilize the systems and the higher polygon counts and, you know, certain types of effects that they were able to do for the PlayStation 2 system hardware for the game. And it was going to be more, obviously, not just action-adventure oriented, but there was going to be puzzle solving, there was going to be some in-game world cinematics and as such. And I'm just like, wow, they really went all out for this game. And then when I played that game for the very first time as well, it was the fact that this is the reason why we do not get these types of games anymore. Now, going back, you know, why this series is so not just highly popular, it was the fact that what Blood Omen Legacy of Kain was initially to do of, you know, being the most important one to the franchise, because if we did not get this game, we wouldn't be having the other games in the spin-off series like Soul Reaver 2, or even Blood Omen 2 Legacy of Kain or Legacy of Kain Defiance, because, you know, that's where Blood Omen 1 specifically birthed this franchise. And it's one of the reasons why I love this series so much as well. And I would say, I think Blood Omen Legacy of Kain is definitely one of my favorite games in the franchise, but this whole entire franchise as a whole is just, it's a very strong, influential 25-year-old game series that a lot of people really enjoyed, that love the world, you know, the environmental storytelling and the aesthetic and the artistic design of it. It's fascinating. And what was so great, I think, for Soul Reaver 1 from me, rather than from Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, was the fact that it was the beginning of it. It was the fact of how I felt about Blood Omen Legacy of Kain as well. It was from how the introduction really pulled me in from the start. Not just from what Blood Omen Legacy of Kain was able to do for me, but it's what Soul Reaver was able to do as well. And that's basically how I got into the franchise. It was a franchise that is going to be, that literally went down in gaming history. There's no question about that. And I think that's the most important thing. I mean, I think when it comes to with the Soul Reaver 1, 2 remasters, it's the reason why we're getting them though too. I mean, but there's other reasons for it as well. You know, already with the Kickstarter that's been done for the prequel comic for the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, The Dead Shall Rise. And it was the fact that, you know, I remember back in 2022, they had a survey that they really put out on social different media accounts like Facebook or Instagram and as such. And they say, would you like to see another Legacy of Kain game in the series? And a lot of people said, yes, 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 please, please do that. And so now we are in 2024, and henceforth, we're finally getting a type of resurgence of getting some of these games back in memorabilia format, in a remastered format. And I think that's where this game series as a whole, it's not just because of its importance. It's the way how these games were built. It was the way how these games gave us a story worth adventuring on and venturing on. And it was the enthralling and captivating characters, Raziel, Kain, Mobius, Ariel, and Vorador in Soul Reaver 2 that we met for the very first time as well. And then we ventured on in Blood Element 2 Legacy of Kain Defiance, which was another part in the Legacy of Kain timeline. But again, that's another thing, that's why these games were so fantastically fabulous, is that the timelines in these games is what also made this entire series as a whole important to a lot of people and important to the fans. I mean, this series has a hardcore fan base. And not only that, there are so many different types of websites or YouTube channels on any kind of social media. There's a bunch of them. And I'm like, wow, I did not realize that this series was like one of the highest of its peak when this series came out. And it's fascinating. And I'm just like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it, because it's just like, how in the heck did a game series like from Blood and Man Legacy of Kain all the way to Legacy of Kain Defiance gain such a high praise? But now we all know, because it's the enthralling and captivating stories of characters that are far beyond your imagination. Like Kain or Raziel or Malkaya, or Rahab in Soul Reaver 1. In Soul Reaver 2, you're on the vengeance of trying to get to Kain again and try to destroy him, and yet you couldn't do that. The reason is because Raziel knew that Kain foresaw his destiny as the Reaver of Souls. And that's another reason why this game series as a whole, from Soul Reaver 1 to Soul Reaver 2, made him very provocative and captivating. And it's sweet, sweet eye candy. Je ne sais quoi. It's amazing. And I think by playing from Blood and Legacy of Kain all the way to Legacy of Kain Defiance, and I will recite something here towards the end of this video. So again, it's amazing of how far this series has come from the very first one to Defiance. And this is, like I said again before, this is the reason why I am a gamer still today. This is the reason why I do make Legacy of Kain videos on my channel, is because it's captivating, it's enthralling, it's important to me, and I love the fact that we are getting some type of form of remaster for Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2. So what I will say is that I think that if we were to get more future installments, if the remasters actually end up getting really good positive reviews or really good marketing price, selling millions and millions and millions, I'll be surprised if this actually happens. So and I really think that it's going to be so rewarding of going back to these games again. So it's going to be awesome. But perhaps the most obvious thing I will say, now at last the masks had fallen away. The strings of the puppets have become visible, and the hands of the prime mover exposed. Most ironic of all was the last gift that Raziel had given me, more powerful than the sword that now held his soul, more acute even the vision his sacrifice had accorded me. The first bitter taste of that terrible illusion. Hope. So that's exactly what I wanted to do towards the end of this video. And you guys have a good rest of your week. Long live on with the Legacy of Kain series.